And hello everyone, and welcome to Ask Denise. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at noon Eastern, I go live on Facebook and usually talk for around a half an hour just to answer your questions. So just a couple things that are top of mind today. It's kind of a I don't know. We've had a really busy week so far. Yesterday was insane. Got a lot of good work done today, and then we started pretty much the same way. It's going to be a long evening because I've got some things I have to work through till the evening. So if you're an entrepreneur, you know what that's like, right? Your work never stops, and if you're a perfectionist like me, you want things to be perfect, and so you're always just sort of striving for that perfection. So today here at the shop, if you want to talk shop for a little while, a theme, like it or not, has kind of come up, which is the concept of calendars when you're trying to post on your social media. So I'll just give you a couple of thoughts of what we do here. Currently, what we're using for our own Denise Keniston, the brand, and Web for Retail, in terms of trying to make our social media posting scalable, we use a third-party software, and the software that we use, hey Larry, the software that we use, it's nice to see you again, by the way, Larry, thanks a lot for hopping on. The software that we use is something called Hootsuite, Hootsuite. We've used Sendable. I used Sendable for a whole year. I had a year contract with them. Sendable, Sendible, maybe Tommy could type that in there. But currently we're using Hootsuite. And there's a free version of it that should suffice nicely for any small business person or a small business. We have the commercial version. I think we use the team version, which is $40 a month. But regardless, as far as I'm concerned, it's worth every dime because it enables you to blast out all of your social media posts to Twitter, to Facebook, to Instagram. I mean, there's some finessing that goes with that. It's not really all that easy, but that's basically the concept. And the same thing with Sendable. I think where small businesses kind of get tripped up is they don't make the content for you. You have to upload the content and then blast it out. So if you think of your social media as sort of two things, like you think about the distribution or that mechanism that blasts it out for you. We use Hootsuite. You can do it directly off your Facebook page, directly off your Twitter page, so on and so forth. And then the other part is the actual making of the content, which is really what trips up most businesses. Because they'll just kind of sit there and they'll sit at their desk, at their Facebook or their Twitter or whatever it might be, and they'll be like, okay, yeah, but what do I post? So that kind of brings in the whole conversation of a calendar. So you sit down and you might say to yourself, okay, let's just take, for example, the month of November. So here's the thing with November. We have Black Friday, right? And we had Veterans Day. So given that the retail marketing calendar, if you will, really revolves around holidays, it does not stand to reason that you would have had a ramp up to your Black Friday, like you might start promoting it 3 days ahead of time, and then the actual Black Friday event that you have, and then some photos of people who came rushing into your store post Black Friday. So if you have your calendar, and I suppose I should have pulled this calendar out. I had it out earlier when Tommy and I were talking about it. You would already see, before you, if you'd map this out, like 3 or 4 days ramping up here. And this is kind of messy, so I'm sorry, folks. I write on everything. But, it would look like this. You'd either have it on your desktop, and you would write out, okay, I'll start teasing, if you will, 3 days before Black Friday that Black Friday's coming up. And then I'll actually post on Black Friday. And then after the fact, there'll be 2 days or that whole weekend, you can post about all the activity going on in your Black Friday. So let's think about that. Then that will take up almost a full week of content. Veterans Day was on the 12th, and you could have done the very same thing, the ramp up to Veterans Day if you had a sale or a promotion, and then a couple days afterwards, sort of the afterglow, if you will. So that gives you 10 days out of the 30 days that you want to try to fill. So we like calendars here. We keep them in some respects for our clients. A lot of what we do for our client is custom work. We do custom work, although we have some clients on programs where it's a little less expensive, and we're again talking about that again today as well. So when you're trying to fill in those gaps, like I was just talking about November, here's my messy calendar again. So you've got 5 days taken up with Black Friday. You would have had 5 days taken up with Veterans Day. That would have left 10, 20, 15 or 20 days. And Tommy, can you put this up in the, there in the chat box too? If you want to make some really easy graphics, like if you want to use a quote, you can use a very easy program called Canva. It's C-A-N-V-A. And that's kind of what the layman's version, now this is me speaking, the layman's version of Photoshop, excuse me, or Illustrator or something like that. It's just very usable, and you can make quotes. Another good one that we use here is to make a graphic that spells out or types out if you have a great review. Somebody says, wow, I went into Lynch's Furniture and Appliances, and I came out and I had a great customer experience and I got a great deal. Then you can make a graphic. Thanks, Tom. You can make a graphic and then you can post that, and that you can get more and more mileage out of that. So when you're filling in, and I'll show you one more time my messy calendar, when you're filling in your calendars, think about that, and you will save yourself, number one, you'll save yourself a ton of time. You'll feel better about it because you'll be organized, and you'll get better results from your, from your followers. So people ask me all the time, okay, great. So I've got this here little calendar. November's kind of a no-brainer month, especially in retail, because we had Veterans Day, now we have Black Friday, and then you get into Christmas. You can do 12 days of Christmas. You can have all kinds of fun with it. Those are kind of easier months. Then you kind of get into January and February, and then you got some holidays, but it gets a little slow. So what do you do when it gets slow and you don't have any big promotions through those slow months? So this is my tip to you. Take pictures of happy customers. We do that and encourage our clients to do it. And I mean, it's just, they get the most response, especially on Facebook or any kind of social media. So get pictures of happy customers. You can turn the camera around, point it right at you and your happy customer if they bought a sofa or if they bought a washing machine or dryer. Happy picture. Mr. Smith just bought the whatever it might be, the Maytag, the Maytag washer, and we really loved it. We're taking it home. We got a great deal. People from the outside looking at that, we'd like to follow what other people are doing. It's kind of like a recommendation. So Canva, it's C-A-N-V-A, Canva, C-A-N-V-A. It says, I looked into it's Canva, also Graphic River, etc. I think there's a free version, Larry, of Canva. Tommy, maybe you could check that out. I don't think it's super expensive. If it feels like a little too expensive for you, if there is a cost to it, I thought there was a free version. What a lot of people do is they go into, where you can build your slides, into PowerPoint, and they'll actually build them in PowerPoint. I actually know a professional who does that, builds graphics in PowerPoint. So don't be afraid to just use Microsoft's PowerPoint, or I guess, and it's Keynote if you're on your Mac. And then there are, different little free tools out there. Maybe Tommy can check it out. I didn't think that Canva was very expensive. So those are the kinds of things you can do, though, to create your own graphics. So happy customers, that's tip one. If you have deliveries, oh my gosh, people love to see product being delivered. it's great if delivered to homes, right? So if your store has a delivery service, your delivery guy is going out actually delivering some real life product. Also, deliveries coming to you. So if you're a furniture store and you have case goods coming in a big truck, or mattresses coming in a big truck, then just seeing that stuff being unloaded, the fresh merchandise, if you will, about that is to fill in order to fill in the gaps, right, from your normal promotions and stuff like that. Those are just a couple of little tips that you can use that will help you fill those gaps in and keep your social media feeling like it's about you. You know, you don't want it to get so watered down that it doesn't feel like you and it isn't unique to you. So those are just some keys. You know, you're going to be decorating your store. Like we have a client, they're in outside of Philadelphia, and they really, it's downtown, quaint, the little town that they're in, and it's just so beautiful, and they always decorate outside. Great photos. People wait to see these photos. The people in their town love to see that they decorate. So that gives it a nice, warm feel that people can connect with you. So again, photos. And of course, I'm always an advocate of video. As I've said 100 times here before, video really is the key to, you know, to social media at this point. So I think Larry, that Tommy put up, there's a 30-day free trial. So if you could just sort of check that out. I think you're talking about Photoshop now, Tommy, and we were talking about Canva, but let's make sure that we get that information to Larry, whatever the pricing is on it. So, because, you know, this is all about making it affordable you know, for people who are watching who want to do this themselves. So that's kind of what we're talking about, content calendars. And just so that social media doesn't kind of get up in your hair and become something that you're totally preoccupied with. But I can't say this enough. You're really going to be, in some respects, a content producer for your own company. It's inevitable. If you want to be on social media, you just sort of have to accept that. Either you hire someone who does that for you, or you do it yourself. I mean, that really is what it's all about. So take a little drink of my tea here. I think I'm getting a little bit of a sore throat. So that's pretty much what that's all about in terms of social media and calendars. Keep it super simple on yourself. I would do it real quickly. You can do this like in, you know, 15 minutes or so. At least plan out that calendar, and then you're good to go and you don't have anything else to worry about. So that's kind of the social media part of, you know, tip of the day in terms of running your business and whatnot. You know, it's really interesting that I every once in a while I hop in on this guy. His name is Gary V. And, you know, he's an internet superstar, and he's very motivational. He's kind of one of those guys, but he also runs a business in the whole 9 yards. And I often think about that. I'm like, wow, this guy really, you know, he keeps an incredible pace. I really don't know how he does it. And I wonder to myself, you know, how long can you really carry on that kind of a pace? I mean, the guy is engaging, and I'm not saying anything one way or another. This is what I can say for myself and, you know, the motivational men and women out there who run and gun. And I mean, it's kind of like a spectator sport sort of to watch them. And there certainly were days in my past where I have been a run and gunner, and some would say that I still am to this day because I keep a pretty steady pace. But, you know, it's funny in terms of running a business and just keeping sane while you do it. You know, that's kind of that whole part where I think a lot about balance, and I try very, very hard to strike my own balance so that I sleep. You know, there's a whole thing about entrepreneurism that has been super glorified, which is, you know, I'll sleep when I'm dead sort of thing. And, you know, for me, this is the thing about that. And I'll talk about the sleeplessness. Tommy and I were talking about it this morning, is some people can do that, but I maintain that, you know, taking care of yourself while you're being an entrepreneur really pays off more than if you don't. I know some people can do it, like I said, that run and gun thing. But if I sleep and take care of myself, and if I'm in a good place, I can crank out much better content. I'm much better with the people who work for me. I'm much more inspirational to them. For me, I like that, you know, intense, which I believe I am, but still the same, sane. You still want to be sane. And I bring that up about entrepreneurism because it gets under your skin. If your business is your baby and you are a true entrepreneur, it will get under your skin. It starts under your skin and it lives under your skin. I don't have any idea where it ends because I've done it for so long now, but I will say that you have to, and here's my kitty, Jackson. You know, you have to have some balance, because for me, if I don't have balance and you get too far out there on the edge, you kind of stop making sense. It's very easy as an entrepreneur to get lost in the weeds, and you have to be at your absolute best. And look, can I tell you this? You can be in the weeds and still be making a bunch of money. And so you're saying to yourself, well, that's great. Tell me how to be in the weeds. But what I'm saying is that you have to be able to make this thing last. And know that if you're an entrepreneur and you have your business, you know, it is an extension of you. So if you're not feeling good, or if you're not even keel, your business is not going to be even keel. Believe me when I say this. If you haven't experienced it yet, you will if you stay in this game long enough. So about the high flyers who run and gun 14 hours a day and do it for year in and year out, I get it. I kind of still do that sort of myself, but still the same. You got to keep yourself sane, and you got to keep yourself well. If not for yourself, for the people that work for you and work with you. If you're inspiring people and they're picking up your vision and running with it, you owe it to them, you know, not to get too far off into the weeds. So there's a certain part of that comes along with being an entrepreneur, and most people understand that. You're excitable, you love things, you chase this thing, whatever. But as an entrepreneur, you really want to try to keep yourself on an even keel, because people are looking to you, and you know, you don't want to let them down. So I'm going to take just a second here to introduce my kitty cat, Action Jackson. This here's Action Jackson. He has no boundaries, and he's been with me for a long time. I got him at the Humane Society up in Portland, Maine, and he just wants to have his head rubbed. Who doesn't want to have their head rubbed? So this is my kitty, Action Jackson. I got him, and he was all rickety and skinny and beat up, and he was just a mess. He was a kitten when I got him. So this is Action Jackson, and so he sleeps with me and keeps me company and wants to have his head rubbed. Right, exactly. Just rub my head. So yeah, so I don't really know really why I'm kind of on this tangent, but you know, it's kind of what's on my mind today. Me and Action Jackson have been thinking about it. So as an entrepreneur, just remember, you know, you get people jacked up. They get jacked up with you, and you owe it to them to follow through and to carry through with your vision, and not to get too far out there, because they look up to you and they look to you. So let's see. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that. I mean, I could kind of go on. Maybe Larry and Tommy know a little bit about this, but like I said, that whole concept of you can be pretty far out in the weeds and still be making a ton of money, and I've been there, believe me. and it's a really weird feeling when you're hanging way out there and the money's rolling in, which is great, but you wake up one day and you're like, wow, I am like really hanging out there right now. I probably better reel it in just a little bit. That's a really strange feeling. So for me, obviously I've had there's ups and downs through all of this, and I've survived and had my own business, I don't know, 12 years now, probably I've been running my own business. And, you know, you learn, you can't possibly know exactly, especially as a startup, you can't possibly know, you know, everything that there is to know. You know, your number one thing is going to be, of course, is that you want more clients. You know, there's a big thing out on the internet now, and you see it everywhere, and it's very faddish, and it came, I think, from that movie, The Secret, which I totally get it. You get back what you know, you get back what you put out there. I really get that. And there's this whole notion of inbound marketing, and there's some truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. Good people will find other good people. But when you're doing business too, I mean, you really have to have, as far as I'm concerned, a sales plan. You have to have some kind of plan of how you're going to acquire new clients. And the where I'm at with it today, here we are in Q4 of 2016, is I think it's a combination effort. And trust me when I say this, I've gone both ways with this. I've had people calling, I've had call banks, tons of salespeople shaking the tree to get clients. I've done it the other way. Well, they'll come and they'll be attracted. We work with buying groups. That's great when you have buying groups, because they have a bunch of their members, and they might need your services. Again, we were talking about that today. I think that at the end of the day, truly, and for all the mistakes and stumbles and bumbles and embarrassing moments I've had as an entrepreneur, I think the one thing that I've maintained through all of that is that the work was good. And, you know, so I can't think of one client that left us because the work wasn't good. Maybe they didn't want to pay the price. Maybe they didn't like the client services. Maybe they didn't like the, you know, whatever it is. But I can't think of, wait for it. I can't think of a time where we actually lost a client because they thought our work wasn't good. So I think that in the down times, that has really kind of kept us going. And to answer your question, this is what a buying group is, at least in the industries that I deal with. Essentially what a buying group is they get a whole bunch of stores or retailers together. Those retailers give them dues, and then the buying group goes out and negotiates great bulk deals for them. So say, for the sake of argument, if it's a furniture buying group, they'll go to a Bassett Furniture. The buying group will be, and because they have so much buying pressure or financial pressure, they can negotiate prices. So that's what a buying group is at its core. The buying groups now are very sophisticated, and they also offer services like mine, and essentially it's the same thing. We put together packages or whatever, and then they negotiate really tough with us in terms of what we want to get paid for that. But it can be a very good deal if you're in the agency world like we are. It gives you access to clients, it gives you support in the whole 9 yards. So there's a lot of that, but look, I worked for those connections for years as a startup. We were just going over this last night, actually. The first 2 years of this startup, we lost money, broke even pretty much in the third year, and then the fourth and fifth year, we made good money. We did well. And then, of course, this year, 2016. But I have to say this. I'm looking forward to 2017. In all the years I've been doing this, I am the most excited personally. I feel the best going into 2017. And this will be we'll be going into our 7th year of Web for Retail. So I finally feel like after all this time that I kind of have a handle on it. And it's an interesting thing because, you know, we were making money. We were doing great in the years prior. But personally, you know, I wasn't always feeling really comfortable about the way things were going, just in terms of the direction of the company. So you'll have those moments as an entrepreneur where things click more. They'll click and click and click. That just becomes the experience that you gain if you can survive. Web for Retail was a startup. That's it. Started it from scratch, bootstrapped it. I did finance it myself because I had done well prior to that. So I had the ability to finance it myself, but I wasn't like a bottomless pit. But still I was able to finance it myself. So it's interesting. Again, I come back to, you know, your company will always be an extension. Feels that way. How to gain more clients in 2017. So it feels that way, you know, for me, where I am in Q4 of 2016. I just like really where the position of the company is and where I am personally. And since my company is a reflection of who I am, well, that's it. That's the answer. So I guess it depends in terms of client acquisition. If you're selling things, you know, you have to market them. So that's that. I mean, you really have to get out there and market it. You have to, and I love social media for that. We were talking about that, I think, last week. To me, social media is really where it's at. You have to be a little bit patient, though, because you're trying to build that audience. Once you have that audience built, they're there for you forever to market to communicate with, so on and so forth. So clients, like I said, I've done it a couple different ways. I've done it hardcore, cold calling, give them the list, they shake trees, that kind of works. I've done it the other way, oh, they'll come to me, that's great. I think it's a combination. I don't think that you can run a business and have some kind of sales effort. Somehow, some way going on, whether you break it out into outbound calls, i.e. the cold calling, and combination with inbound calling. I will say this, in terms of the, you know, the level and the compensation, inbound tends to be people that have graduated or moved up in your organization. The bottom rung, of course, is the cold callers. They work on commission or maybe some kind of a draw plus commission. And then your inbound people, it's softer, it's easier. And again, this is the world according to Denise, but the inbound calls, the people who are taking the inbound, they're selling, they're essentially closing. So they kind of have this kind of mixture of client services almost and sales. So that's sort of how I look at that. If you're selling a thing, get it out on the internet. If you're selling a thing, if you're selling a dresser for clothes or whatever it is, get it out on the internet. Get an audience around you, and that to me is the best way. Google AdWords, we don't talk a lot about that here at Ask Denise, but we can and we will. Google AdWords is good too. But a great place to start is to build your own audience. So that's kind of what I got to say today about all of that. I am a lover of Christmas, and I'm looking forward to Christmas this year because I'm in such a great mood. And so yeah, so here we are almost at 12:30. Let me wrap up by saying we render or save these videos and then we repost them on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Denise Keniston, I think it is. And you know what? I'm going to find out right now because I'm pretty sure it is. We did try to change it to Social Denise, but I don't think that worked. So here we are. Yes, yes, yes. Here she is. And it is youtube.com/Denise Keniston. And then you can kind of scroll through all the videos. There's Ask Denise, Driving with Denise. You'll see all, you know, more than me than you probably want. So, so if you only have one like, one follow, one anything to give, go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Near and dear to my heart is video. I'm a believer in video. So we are wrapped up for another Ask Denise Live on Facebook. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Not really sure what the topic is going to be, but I know we're going to do Throwback Thursday, and my staff is now looking for some old anchoring tapes of mine from like the 90s, which is a little scary. But they're definitely out there if you look hard enough. So thanks to everybody who hopped on. I totally appreciate it. And yeah, so I'll see you back here tomorrow at noon on Ask Denise Live. Ciao for now.